for joining us for an episode of All About PR. If you're tuning in for the first time, on this podcast, we speak to experts from the field of PR and communication from across the world and bring you an interesting conversation on the subject every week. Today, we have a real treat for all the listeners of this podcast. In this episode, we talk to some real PR rock stars from our team and trace the journey of PR, innovation, evolution to its current form, along with how its interaction and perception has changed in the brand ecosystem. So let's get started. First up, we have Chaittali Dave, who's mastered communication across different verticals. Hey Chaittali, thank you for joining us for the podcast today.
Hi, Tarunji. Thank you so much. I'm really excited for this as this is my first podcast. I'm really excited.
Awesome. There's always a first time for everything. So Let's dive down to discussing about PR. You have been in the industry for over 15 years now and have seen quite a lot of change in the industry. Can you help us trace the evolution of the industry, specifically, let's say, in the last decade?
The PR industry has changed drastically over the past 10 years, and I'm sure you are going to agree with me on that. Right from the media space to pitching to the journalist to its own perception. The role of PR professional and the PR industry has finally, thankfully, evolved from being the coverage or free media person to an industry that creates strong brand reputations through compelling storytellings. We knew it, right? But it was tough for the industry to quantify the intangible aspect of brand building. The industry has also invested a lot in educating their clients, which fueled this change, but the pandemic has been the biggest game changer and has firmly cemented the position of PR at the head table as the communication consultant who build brand reputations. It has finally, I think, seeped in that without a reputation that can withstand a crisis and you really don't have much to go on. And I think this stellar and authentic reputation takes time. I'm sure it does. But on the media front, traditional media has given away to digital, thankfully. And no one can deny that 2020 brought about acceleration in digital growth and consequently digital PR like nothing else could.
Yes, absolutely. Nobody can deny that. So, what have been some of your biggest learnings in the last decade, Chaittali?
The world of PR is fast-paced. I think this was even before digital made an entry in our communication world. With more and more digital integration happening across mediums, there is no ignoring it, have other alternate mediums across sectors. My biggest learning in the last decade that I would like to tell is that you can't keep relying on your existing skill sets to grow in this industry. I think you have to dedicate time to upskill yourself, and I would recommend all to do that if you want not just to survive but thrive in this industry.
I also agree with you on that, Chaittali. If you have to thrive and not just simply survive, you have to dedicate yourself to upskilling yourself. You have to find the time to do that. Very good point. But how about last year? I'm sure that was a game changer for you as well.
Last year, wow. Yes, definitely. It has been a roller coaster ride for all of us in the industry. Don't you agree with me? In fact, because of it, I think our family who earlier used to complain that they know nothing of what I do have given a front row view. In fact, now I think they have more knowledge about it. Isn't it interesting? And yes, it has definitely made me a super multitasker where I try and manage my work-life balance. But on a serious note, I believe it has been a game changer for the industry as well. Because for as long as I can remember, PR professional would advise their clients to look at the larger reputation challenge being solved and created by PR and the value of digital. But ROI would always boil down to the number of articles per month in one way or another, right? And only a story in traditional media would bring about client accolades. This has changed, thankfully, and I'm so happy about it because clients in PR have evolved their understanding of the field and are looking at this at a larger holistic function that drives brand building. Some are already there and others are really reaching out with an industry help. And I really hope that this continues because I think our jobs in the brand building ecosystem have become more satisfying and exciting.
You're absolutely right, Chaittali. Last year has been an absolute game changer for all of us, and those are very good points that you brought to the forefront.
Yes, and I'm sure many of us in this industry will agree to it because it has been the same for all, and we have been in this ride all of the last year together. And we hope that this year also we shall sail by through this.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chirali, for tracing the PR evolution journey for us. So now I'm going to move to Khushboo, who is going to talk to us a little bit more about how the media has specifically changed. We now have Khushboo Alag.
Hi, Tarun.
Khushboo, can you trace a graph for us?
So, media has changed quite drastically in the last decade. Different streams have emerged, as we all know. The beginning of the decade was basically about just traditional and digital. Now, a lot more and other streams have emerged, such as podcasts, new age publications. Social media has gained a lot of importance. Now, we are also seeing more and more subscription based digital platforms emerge. But despite all this, the importance of print, I believe, in the minds of the audiences has not been lost completely.
You're right. I do think there is still time before we all go completely digital, and traditional media and new age media will have to find their own balance. But how has media perception of PR changed?
That's a very good question, Tarun. I think there has been a drastic change. Earlier, a PR team was perceived as mainly as a bridge between the client and the journalist. This relationship has evolved quite a bit since then. Most journalists now take cognizance of the fact that PRs are consultants in their true sense, and they bring a lot to the table from a strategic communication perspective for their clients. This understanding has also helped in exchange of ideas, consideration of PR pitches by senior journalists, I think which was very rare from earlier.
And we do hope that the rarity of the idea becomes even more rare. It becomes more and more commonplace that an exchange of ideas keeps taking place between media and the PR community. But how has the interaction of PR changed with media?
Around about 7 to 10 years ago, when I first started out in PR, there was a reluctancy in interacting with editors and senior journalists, especially amongst young PR professionals, as this set was not very keen on exchange of ideas with PR professionals. I think the industry has come quite far from there, as journalism has evolved and matured quite a bit in the last decade. So has communication between both the parties.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Khushbu. Indeed, when both sides mature, it will result into a more productive relationship for all concerned.
Yes, absolutely. And I hope this continues, Tarun.
While changes in the overall national media industry and its impact on the PR community is essential to understand, I believe it's also equally important to understand how this change has impacted us on a state and a very local micro level. Vinod, can you take us down to a state level? How has PR at a state and city level changed?
Let's get down a state level. How has PR at the state and city level changed? Yes, each state and city has a different story angle, a different journalistic style, a different approach, different style of writing that is followed over and above the medium and target segment that they cater to. So I think we have to adopt an approach that is unique to the state, keeping in mind cultural variation when we engage to the media community on behalf of the brand that we handle. Tarun, if you noticed, over the last 1 year, the state level media has also undergone change. India is still a very print heavy market. When you move beyond the metros and pandemic has caused newspapers to reduce the pages, shut down the supplements and bureaus impacting the whole community. This has also given a raise to the interesting development in legacy media that would earlier never given a digital any importance. Some have taken up the regular live sessions on Instagram. Some have launched online TV and other are focusing on online version and some have introduced podcast. If you had asked me this even 1 year ago, I would have never predict this.
So, for the benefit of all our listeners, Vinod Reddy has been in the industry for over a decade now, and his media expertise across different verticals is an asset to the team. So, based on your experience, Vinod, can you tell us if PR engagement at the state level Is it tougher now or is it easier?
Is it tougher now? Mm, no, and yes, tougher because the pandemic has caused the losses of job of many journalists, reducing our target media base, and there is a limited media space as compared to before pandemic. So it is tougher from this point of time. I also say no in the same breath because if your story is relevant and customized to this target audience of the publication, you are around to hit the market faster.
And how have you evolved to create and explore unique verticals for brand storytelling? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
PR works to create a strong brand reputation. Media is one of the strongest tools, but the rapid and drastic change in the media industry, the PR industry has also had to evolve. I'm happy to say that Nucleus has been the forefront of the change. We gathered market knowledge and upskill quickly through PRPOI and our own internal session to keep pace with the changes. Earlier, it was only about the traditional PR, like getting coverage about the brand in a newspaper or TV and the radio. While digital was growing, brands were not really keen on it and always wanted legacy media to throw a spotlight. But now it's changed completely. Now we have social media, online portals, podcasts, live sessions, Twitter chat added to our list. These new age mediums have wide reach, allow more creativity, and have faster movement. I'm not personally spearheading the influencers engaging vertical where we have looking at engaging influencer bloggers and micro influencers through various collaborations create a more robust brand ecosystem and a win-win situation for all involved.
Thanks, Vinod. That's very insightful, and we'll all be happier about it. But creating a win win situation takes innovation. Michelle Khiangte joins us to tell us about innovation in PR and how essential it is.
So, Michelle, while Vinod has spoken to us about the verticals that he's explored for brand storytelling, and a lot of them are very unique, could you share with us what could be possibly innovation in PR and how essential is it?
Yes, innovation in PR is absolutely essential. And now that we are in the digital age, there are numerous possibilities for innovations in PR. Let's look at what 2020 has taught us. Yes, we did have a lot of ups and downs, triumphs and defeat. But in the PR industry, it has been a boon for us because brands have realized the importance of PR professionals in communicating to a world which is facing a global pandemic. We had to step in and advise brands to be authentic, number one, empathetic, number two, and at the same time, not being opportunistic. We became the navigator of their challenges through innovative skill sets.
That's a very interesting way of putting that across, Michelle. But what are the skills that are evergreen and will be around irrespective of media, medium, or client changes?
The skill sets that will be evergreen would be effective communication skills, creativity, and being open to change and learning how to adapt to the changing landscape or the industry that you're in.
Very valid points. Michelle, you have been in the workforce for more than 7 years, but as I understand, this is your first PR innings. I would be very keen on knowing what was your biggest learning in PR.
My top three biggest learnings in PR, I would say, would be number one, networking is key, is essential, whether in person or digital, because it is the core of public relations profession. Stay connected with your media friends, PR pros, and clients at regular intervals because this will open new doors, new chapter for you to learn and grow even more. Secondly, there's no such thing as off the record. Whether you speak with a reporter you befriended or your colleagues or peers, make sure you are always professional and do not say something you might regret later. The third thing is that you must learn how to embrace change easily because in a PR profession, change is the only constant.
Michelle, those are great points. I think those are learnings that the industry professionals across segments, across designations would have garnered and realized by this year. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you, Tarun. Pleasure was all mine.
Wonderful. And the industry is lucky to have you. And from there, let's move to PR engagement on a deeper level with Akhila. Akhila, you've been in the industry for quite some time. How has PR engagement changed over the years? What's your perspective on it?
Well, currently it's always been a relationship that's involved a lot of give and take. But the last year, the entire relationship between the PR industry and the media world has undergone a sea change, primarily because of the pandemic. If you look at the media landscape, publications have shut down, journalists have lost their jobs. Even the existing space in traditional media has really reduced, and it's digital that has taken the upper hand. So I think this has been one of the biggest changes, and this will also sort of serve as, for want of a better word, a catalyst for change in the future years to come, where we will see traditional media taking a backseat and digital media coming to the forefront. And consequently, this will also bring about a change in the way the PR industry has been dealing with the media industry. They'll have to be a lot more nimble, a lot more agile. Storytelling will change, where there'll be a lot more focus on nuance rather than general perspective. The way the PR industry brings their brand stories to the fore will also change in terms of making it a lot more focused, a lot more definitive. And I see the role of influencers in this regard also assuming a lot of importance, but filter will have to come in, where those who are in it just for the sake of it will be slowly weeded out, and those with more credibility is what will remain. Because at the end of the day, the one thing that the media industry always brings to the table is a whole lot of credibility, which I think will continue to remain.
Absolutely. And I think there will be a shake-up in the digital and influencer management industry as well. But in the last 1 year specifically, there are a lot of heightened emotions, a lot of high-pressure situations that have happened. And we've seen a lot of strong bonds being formed, as well as an equal number of public spats happening between both the PR and media community. What is your take on it? And what do you think, let's say from a PR and media perspective, should be kept in mind so that this could be avoided?
I think one of the things that has to be kept in mind is last year has really been an anomaly in the truest sense of the word. I mean, we've been in the throes of a pandemic, and a lot of us would have only read about something like that in history books or whatever. So dealing with it has been at the forefront for everybody. It's been hard, tough struggle. There's been a lot of focus on mental health, and I think all these issues come to the fore when it comes to any sort of relationship. I think everyone's been feeling their way through. The media industry has also been dealing with a lot of pressure, as I just mentioned in my previous answer. Similarly, for the PR industry, the demand has been to sort of get the brand stories out even better, because brands themselves have also been scared with the lockdown and everything that has happened about their own visibility, and have been putting the pressure on the PR agencies to make sure their stories told as credibly as possible. And with this pressure, pulls and demands on both sides, there's bound to be friction. So it's important for sort of everyone to take a back seat and understand that both sectors are just trying to do their job and work together to see how best it can be done rather than being antagonistic about it.
Very well put. And what is that one skill that you think specifically PR professionals should garner to make sure that they survive and in fact thrive in the coming year?
I think it's to be very nimble, agile, think on your feet, and most importantly, I think sometimes there has been perhaps a tendency to dilute a brand message or just keep a brand message very generic. But here, I think it's really important that PR agencies sit with their client and zone in on that one brand message which establishes trust. Because right now, people are looking for solace, people are looking for hope, people are looking for things they can depend on. And the messaging of trust is much more important. So in that regard, I think get the messaging right, be nimble, be able to change your strategy according to the changing scenarios nationally, locally, globally, etc. That I think is need of the hour.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you, Taranji.
So, Ishita, what are some of the new unique mediums of communication that you have personally leveraged to land leading? Some things that you feel have the potential to go big in the next couple of years. Based on your personal experience, can you help us identify these?
We have been doing a lot of podcasts, webinars, social audio, and influence marketing for our clients. And I really think they have a huge potential and will do wonders for brands. For that matter, I think KPMG had done a research report which stated that India is right now the third largest podcast listening market, and it is expected to be valued up to 17 crores by 2023.
And I'm sure there'll be many more. Ishita, you are completing a decade in PR soon. I'm curious to know what keeps you in the field of PR and communication.
There are many reasons, but to make it more to the point, I would say the reason for me to be in PR is challenges which we come across on daily basis and the way we deal with it and come out with a solution. This keeps me always on my toes.
Absolutely. And that's what I think keeps me here in the industry as well. I'm about to complete 2 decades and I still think every day is a new day and every day is exciting. But Ishita, according to you, what are the top three skills for a PR professional to thrive in the industry?
Firstly, you need to be an avid reader as it helps an individual to broaden his or her thoughts. Secondly, you need to have an excellent research skill as you might have to deal with clients from genres in which you might not have worked in past. If you develop this quality, it will help you to speed up your relations with your client in a good way. Thirdly, social media skills are the most important right now because everyone today, social presence is the most important thing. Good PR professional can help the client to suggest which platform for them is useful and also how they can use that particular platform to the fullest.
Thank you, Ishita. Those are very valid skills that I think all the entire PR industry should have and should inculcate in their entire career. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Tanji.
And on that note, I wrap up this episode of All About PR. Thank you so much to Chaittali, Ishita, Akhila, Khushboo, Vinod, and Michelle from Nucleus PR for joining us on this podcast and sharing their perspective on different aspects of the industry. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. This also brings us to the end of season 2 of All About PR, and we will catch you after a short break on season 3 with new episodes on different unique conversations on PR and communication.